Welcome to another episode of What's the Point podcast, a unique show about men and their mental health. There are no doctors, no professionals, just real men talking about real stuff. And now, the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point.
Welcome, everyone, to an exciting new edition of What's the Point podcast, where you, our wonderful listeners, are the point. Thank you for joining us today, and I am here with my co-hosts. Mr. Andy Bernard is here. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing pretty decent.
Nice. And Mr. Mark Meyer?
Company considered, I'm doing pretty good.
Wow. Irv, Mr. Wick, the coach. How are you today?
Was doing super. Good to be here with you guys.
We should be nice to each other.
I guess, only the ones that listen to the previous podcasts are going to get that
That's true.
reference.
Well,
so
That's lore.
it's a good incentive
to go back.
to make sure that you're staying up on all these podcasts.
Yes, I like it.
Right.
I could see you walking in the door tonight at home, and your darling wife goes, "Yo, Irv, what's up?" Something like that.
Oh, I could too. Absolutely. It'll come. Yep.
Yes.
So on that note,
Ah,
got a question. Been thinking about this. And this is, we always have a question. This is really a question. I hope that's okay. I had a question, but I don't know how we find the answer to it. I don't know if it's really out there. Because the initial question would be is, how many golf balls do you think you would lose if you played on a course overseas somewhere?
You mean like a big name course,
Like a big
where they
name,
play,
yeah.
like the British
like where
Open?
they play some big tournament
Sure,
or something.
sure.
So like a legit course, not like going over to play a par of 3 or something, right?
Right.
If you're gonna go play a legit, like even if we were here, hey, go play TPC after the 3M Open.
Right.
What do you think you would score? Like we could do that, but I don't think all of us have the resources to go over there. So that's kind of a mute question. But it would just kind of be interesting to see how many golf balls, if somebody went over to Edinburgh or one of those places, on how they would do on that. So I scrapped that question. But I'm asking for a prediction because here we are. You okay over there, Mark?
guys got
Just-
trauma and all they do is rip on him.
Man, this episode's dragging on. Go ahead.
Wow.
Okay, I'm looking for predictions because we're in fall here, early
Yes.
winter, start of the hockey season.
Yep. Wild's 2-2.
Give me your prediction on the Wild. What's the over/under? How many wins for the Wild this year?
How many games do they
82
play?
games
82.
scheduled.
Does Kaprizov stay healthy?
Do you have a magic ball?
Leading the league.
No, I
in
lost
points.
that playing golf at St. Andrews, quite frankly.
Wow.
55.
That would be optimistic. 43.
You guys are...
They're going to fall apart.
I'm sick of all the negativity in this town.
Someone's going to get hurt.
Wow.
And there it goes. And
How about that Boyum, that guy, the 19-year-old?
Zeeb?
Man, only to have those skills. Can you imagine?
what about you, Andy? Are you? You're not a big sports guy, but
Not terribly, no.
you're kind of a mathematician. What does your mathematical side tell you as amount of wins?
81.
Wow, 80.
Wow.
Well,
They're gonna lose.
you're out.
Yeah.
You're
There's
out.
exactly one game.
You're
They've
out.
already lost
They're
two.
already 2 and
But-
2. How about you, Wick? What do you think?
That's too bad.
I think it's going to be a super interesting year from the standpoint of, we never know about health,
Yeah, right, of course.
but we're also taking this big break.
Oh, that's right,
Because
for
we
the
have the
Olympics. How long is it?
I haven't seen
Gotta
the
be
NHL
3-4
schedule.
It's
I
gotta
know-
be 4
I
3
know with
weeks for sure.
college,
Yeah.
Because on the women's side, a lot of women college players are playing in the Olympics.
Yeah.
The NHL will. So the colleges, they're going to be gone about a month. And, at that time of year, and you don't know on that stage what happens to some of those guys.
Yeah, it's
With
crazy.
just being off. But all that being said, I'm going to go right between you two. And my number, before you said, my number was, I'm going to go 51. It's
If they-
51, 52, but they're going to hit 50, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll go 51.
Is Rossi scoring? I haven't paid close
No.
attention to these stats yet.
No.
I mean,
Kaprizov's leading the league.
they got to wake up and score even strength goals.
Well, the power play has been, I think they get 9 or 10 power play
Yeah, it's
goals
crazy.
already.
It's crazy. I mean, up until when I was watching the other night or something, I said they hadn't scored an even strength goal yet,
Yeah.
through the first 2 or 3
Foley's
games.
been good.
Yeah.
He's scoring. Eriksson Ek, and obviously Kaprizov. But,
And on another hockey note, I was watching some YouTube stuff. Boy, St. Thomas is already ranked in the top 20. They were like 17 or 18 when they were playing North Dakota.
Yep. Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
It's hockey season, baby. I wake up.
Andy and I have lost interest.
Okay, go on then.
You don't like hockey either?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't dislike it. I just, I don't know. It's there.
I mean, these predictions might be uncomfortable when Kaprizov comes on the show. And
I
probably hears
said
about it.
55.
Well, he's really excited about Andy. Andy and him are going to be friends. I can tell.
Yeah.
Actually, as our listeners can tell,
Do
and,
Russians get depressed?
oh gosh, as
I think they start off depressed.
Wow.
okay, Kaprizov is not my guest. Speaking of that, as those of you watching on YouTube or those who are listening haven't heard another voice, because we actually don't have a guest today. We had one planned, but at the last minute the guest had to cancel. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but I had booked someone to come in and talk about their mental health journey. He's pretty well known. His name was Brendan Huff. He is a world-renowned opera singer. He is well known for collecting rare autographs. You know, and his life and mental health is a lot like the rest of us. You know, he grew up in kind of a dysfunctional home. There were divorces. He struggled with that. A lot of immaturity, a lot of poor decision making, that kind of thing. Actually, his mother ended up getting remarried and trying to integrate between two families. That didn't work out. He had a stepbrother that he butted heads with quite a bit. Had a near-death experience. It wasn't until later in life when he kind of got his act together, grew up a little bit more, and was kind of pushed out on his own, where he really started to make progress and turn into a good, solid human person. He actually has a furniture building company now, where the problem is a lot of houses don't have big bedrooms, so the bedrooms are smaller. So if you had two kids like Andy does, you can't have room for two beds in there. So what Brendan did is started a company where he builds bunk beds. And what that
You
means,
guys see what he's doing here? Keep going.
so that just a lot more room in the bedroom for activities, for things like that. Unfortunately, earlier today, while building a bunk bed, one fell and hurt his arm pretty bad. So that's the reason he couldn't be here today. We hope to reschedule at some point, because I think he'd be a great guest. But anyway, so that's why it'll just be the four of us.
The four of us. Well, I love it.
Because of that. So,
I'm sorry, did you say Pan? Or Pam?
with a D.
Okay.
The D on the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with that
Big
said,
Step Brothers reference.
with
Oh, okay.
that said,
Wick is not amused today. My
yeah,
goodness.
no, unless we're
Oh,
talking,
I am.
unless we're talking hockey, it
I'm
doesn't
amused
matter.
at funny things.
Okay, enough of this
There's my
first segment.
autograph,
This
too,
first
if you wanna
segment
give
has
it
gone
to
a
me.
long way where we're way off track, but we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and this is going to be a totally different format show, and I'm excited.
We'll be
You know,
right back, right?
I'm excited to find out what the new format is. I guess I wasn't in that production meeting, but I guess we'll be right back.
There you go.
At Brand Inc., we know your business's reputation rides on every detail, especially when it's on the road. Our commercial vehicle wraps combine eye-catching design, 3M-backed installation, and a seamless process built for busy teams. Whether it's one truck or an entire fleet, we help you turn heads, build trust, and grow your business. Your vehicles are always moving. Make sure your brand moves with them. Start your project at brandinc.com. That's Inc with a K, brandinc.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meyer, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
The ads, and I love the branding. Those guys are so good to us. We just did a pickleball event. Well, I don't know when this will air, but we did a pickleball event a few weeks ago. And man, they printed these great signs, and they're just incredible. They treat us so well.
Nick over
is
there, and we've known him
ridiculous.
for a long time.
Oh, from when he was basically operating out of that little small 500 square foot space.
Well, in 2011, he wrapped an
the
RV
that's
for
right.
us for our cross-country bike trip.
That is crazy.
Scarred me.
You have a
Yeah.
reunion for that?
Yeah,
Sorry, that's
2011. We should.
Yeah.
Well, we missed the. We missed it. We'll have to
The
do that.
31 year.
15 years coming up.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Face
There
has
you
been
go.
a thing since 2009, so we're 16 years. That's crazy. Well, hey, I get to lead this show since we don't have a guest. So what that means is that I have questions. I have questions I have observations. I have the need to have a few things explained, but no, I'm teasing. You know, really, I wanted the opportunity just to talk to our listeners because, you know, we spend a lot of time talking to these guys, and our last guest, you know, all these guests we have, they tell incredible stories. But people might wonder a little bit about us and who we are and where we come from. So, Andy, you're newer to us in this whole production thing. So, but I'm gonna include you in on the questions, and they'll pertain to you a little bit differently than they do to Mark and Bill, and I'll certainly answer as well. But I want to go back in time. When did we meet you? What year was that?
2018.
2018.
Fall of 2018.
When you think
Applebee's.
Well, I remember sitting there with our good friend Mr. Hirsch,
Yep.
who, Dave, if you're out there, give us a shout. Actually, I'm having lunch with Hirsch coming up.
Wow, I didn't get that invite, but I don't know. Do you need me there to pay again?
We can get you there.
Anyways.
We can get you there. Wick, when you think back to when you first got involved with Face It, what stands out about who you were then?
Oh, man. Who I was then
Yeah.
was a scared guy, uncertain about a lot of things. And I guess that's the best way to describe it, just scared.
What was life like? I mean, when you think back, I mean, you go back in time 7 years, and I think about what's happened, and hopefully get to hear more about where you are now. But when you think about walking into a Face It group, I mean, you were a high-level, highly accomplished individual. I mean, seriously, as a hockey coach, and I mean, you had worked closely with young men, and they're gotten to know their families. I mean, scared. What was it like to be part of a Face It group as just a guy?
What was it like right away in that group? I mean, I remember that Thursday morning group and the guys in that group, you know, that original group.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of acceptance right away. That, and I probably didn't realize it. I thought it was mostly because there wasn't any preconceived thoughts about me. Nobody knew me here. Because I'd been up in Duluth for all those years. Now I come down here, it's like, who's this guy walking in, right? And not that had it been a Face It group in Duluth that I would have walked in, right? But I remember sitting in that therapist's office in Duluth. Like, after a time, there were some people that were in the lobby when I was in the lobby that said, hey, aren't you Mark Wick? You know, just because it's a small town, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not because of who I was, it was more of that. And then always feeling, because you know so many people and what had gone on up there. Because again, remember, the reason I was down here in 2018 was, in that fall, was because that spring I had been fired up there at Scholastica. So, you know, now I'm down here, but I'm really nobody. But I'm still going to go in there and to share that story. But just overall, I was scared because I didn't have a job, right? I didn't know if I was going to get a job. I certainly... You know, I knew by that time it was going to be tough to get a job in what I wanted to do. You don't open up the newspaper and see a whole ton of ad for college hockey coaches.
I'm guessing being a therapist wasn't at the forefront of your thought process at that point in time.
Not even a thought. Right.
And you say that word, scared, and I think about, you know, being afraid and how, gosh dang, that's a hard thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. How about you, Bill? So go back in time when I knocked on your door or called you or emailed you or however. I don't even remember how it all kind of came about, but let's do this thing. Let's start this Face It thing. I had this shitty little office. I mean, what were you like then?
That's interesting. I mean, as far as the concept about doing Face It and stuff at that point, I think I wasn't scared. I was almost resigned to the fact where, whatever, I don't care. I was in a place where it just didn't matter. Sure, let's do it. I mean, it's going to be hard, scary, who knows what. Those things didn't even register because I'd kind of given up at that point. I was really kind of just floundering with life.
Pretty depressed.
I was super depressed. I was super anxious and all that stuff. So you could have said, hey, should we go outside and shoot heroin? I probably would have said, okay, I guess, why not? You know, so I was really indifferent to really anything. I wish I would have been scared, because then I would have cared more, right? I mean, and we see that sometimes at Face It. There are guys that you can tell are just kind of numb to stuff, and they're in such a deep place where nothing kind of phases them, and in a way, I guess that's a scary place to be. I didn't feel scared, but I felt indifferent to everything, and not only the Face It stuff and what you and I were talking about, but just life in general. Remember, I was not too far off of just trying to kill myself, so yeah, I was pretty indifferent to anything.
It's an interesting. And you know, it is interesting. You look back, and of course, whether it's 2018 or 2009, 2010, it's, you know, our memory plays tricks on us. But you know, I think about where I was at, and I wasn't indifferent, but I didn't know what else to do at that point. You know, I
Maybe
had
a little desperate.
Yeah, I had this consulting thing that had gone like crazy for a couple of years, and then all that work sort of dried up because I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to find new clients, and you know, I always figured I had my social work degree, but I didn't know what else to do. And I remember pressure. I remember feeling a lot of pressure. I know I felt a ton of anxiety. I'll never forget one of our very first board meetings, and I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't even know what we were doing.
Right.
You know, so I think about sort of just scared. I think I was scared, actually, and I think actually fear motivated me in a lot of ways.
Well, and it's interesting. You didn't have a job. You had been fired.
I didn't have a job,
You
essentially.
kind of didn't have a job. I had just sold a business, so
Yep.
I was basically unemployed.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this stuff happens. Maybe that's part of the fear too, is the unknown, right?
Yeah. Well,
For me, that was the fear. Interesting thing that I would ask you is, if you weren't in that mindset of it doesn't really matter, doesn't care,
Right.
would have you still done this?
No, actually, that's the good thing, is that I was in that place, because if I wasn't in that place, I never would have done this.
Because to me,
Because-
what you guys did is really scary.
Because I always, up until that point, and still even parts of my life now, I've always taken the easy route. I felt like, man, there's going to be challenge. Yeah, just if I go this way, it's not quite so challenging. And I've done that with a lot of things in my life early on, before this, and even you still do that with some stuff. But I think I would have been too scared then to take any chance, any risk, even though we didn't even know what that risk was.
Right.
I think I would have been too scared. So no, I wouldn't have done it, actually.
that's a really interesting, and you've grown, if I may. You talk about that, taking the easy way out, and you know, I think a lot of us. I think I took a lot of easy way out. I don't know if it was the easy way out, but it was, you know, it was what we knew to be safe, or
Right.
to avoid something, and that is one of the reasons why Face It's been successful, I think, is because of catching one another at a time. Think about that, Wick. The question you just asked. If I'm in a good place and I'm still running my consulting business and I'm making money and business is there, I'd never do this. I don't ever do this.
And I don't want to make this all rainbows and unicorns.
No.
But, you know, because when you're in those spots, the last thing you want to hear is everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
this or that, right?
Yeah.
But I will tell you, the best thing that happened to me was I got fired.
Yeah.
Because, again, you talk about taking the easy way out, right? Linda's living down here in Twin Cities because
Yeah.
she's working at the U, so
Yeah.
commuting. We got an
Yeah.
apartment down here. I'm up there. Kids are all gone now, right? Makes sense for me to come down here and live, but I got to give up this job.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to find all these jobs,
Right.
right? Now, had a job opened up down here while I was employed here, I might have applied for it
Sure.
to try to make that. But until that happens, I'm not going to make that change. Well, if I don't make that change, again, I don't know where I'm at today,
Right.
you know?
And when you say that, it's the best thing that ever happened. I think people hopefully understand what you mean, because none of us wish this on people. But I think about, I can't even imagine the trajectory of my life had I not gone through my mental health crises, because I don't know. I mean, it's almost kind of a crazy, experiment to give thought to. But I would argue my the depths of my challenges were the best things that ever happened to me too. They're the ones that awakened me to my true purposes. They awakened me to being open to connecting, partnering, building something that, we had no idea what we were doing.
But I also will say, but that being said, I think the three of us, our last guest, we're the lucky ones.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
as much as we're sitting here, the three of us very well could not be sitting here.
Right.
Right? Because
Absolutely.
that's the problem with what we went through is we were able to come out the other side.
Yeah.
Not everybody's been able to, and we know way too many of
Right.
those people that haven't.
Right.
I tell people all the time is that, I wouldn't wish what I've gone through on anyone, even the people I dislike the most. But it's made me who I am, though.
Right.
It really has. So, in a way, it's similar to what you said. It was kind of the best thing that happened. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone
No.
because it's been miserable so many times. But yet, it still has made me the way I am. It's made me able to relate to other guys telling these stories because I've been through it. So when a guy talks about he's afraid to go to sleep at night, I know what that's like now.
Right.
And I can talk to them openly and honestly about it.
Well, and I think about fear. I mean, I think about, you were numb to the fear.
Yeah.
Or like you said, you would have just said, yeah, no, I'm going to go find a job somewhere else. You were afraid for your reputation, people's perception of you. I'm sure I was afraid of a lot of things. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be a very good father. I had 3 young kids, and I don't have a job, and I don't know what I'm doing. And you think about this fear. You think about how many people show up out of fear and what fear does to us, and it's powerful. I'm going to sneak this question in before we go to break. How has your understanding of men's mental health, your own mental health, and you actually talk about this all the time. We don't all have mental health issues, but we all have mental, how you talk about this. How's your understanding of mental health evolved from when a therapist said to you, depression's not your problem? How's your understanding evolved?
Well, my understanding's evolved from that there isn't just mental illness.
Right.
That it's on this continuum, that we all have it, and we're all going to go through these things. And it's not really what we go through, but it's how we handle those times that we go through them, right? And it's what we do. And we can, just like with our physical health, we know there's things we can do to feel better. Before that, my mental health was just whatever was happening. Like that was just circumstances, environment controlled all my mental health. I had no control over that.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. That's what I thought. And now I realize, no, it's not
so
true.
much.
We have control over all of our health.
Right. How about you, Bill? How's your understanding of?
I think the biggest thing I've learned over all these years is that you kind of touched on it, it's ongoing. This isn't something where you get it figured out on day 27 and then it's fine.
Sure.
We've had guests all the time that talk about, things are a lot better. They're not perfect. Last night in one of my groups, we had for 2 hours, we talked about the difference between nerves and anxiety. And we came to all kinds of conclusions that I had never thought of. We've been doing this for 16 years. And a conversation last night with 7, 8, 9 more guys brought things into my head that I had never, ever thought of. About a topic that we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
It's ever changing, and that's a problem for a lot of guys. They think, if I just get this figured out, then it's done. That's it. It isn't, though. This is an ongoing thing, and you're learning all the time, which isn't a bad thing. But for some guys, that can be scary. But I learned that this is a learning experience over and over and over again.
Yeah. How about you, Andy? In the time you've been listening to us, and you've actually been producing our podcast for a long time, but
It was hidden for a while.
more prominent now. What's your understanding of this whole mental health thing and men's mental health in particular?
Well, I've never really actually talked about my background in that field. I'm not a professional of any sort. Unlike you guys
You're
are
a professional man.
You guys do your groups, and
Yeah.
you've been running Face It for 1,000 years and that sort of thing, and so you have plenty of experience in that sort of thing. And I don't really have any, but I still have gone through stuff. I still go through stuff and that sort of thing. And I mean, basically every time we have someone on, I can relate to them in some way, even though my life hasn't been really like any of theirs so much. Because a lot of the people that we've had on have had some sort of like PTSD invoking event happen to them.
Sure.
They'll have like, a horrible divorce or an abusive parent or something like that, or like our previous guest, near-death experience and that
Right.
sort of thing. And I've never really had anything quite like that, and yet I still did the whole 3-4 years of just like sitting at home doing nothing because I had no desire to do anything whatsoever, and I still had the nighttime panic attacks and all that sort of thing about other stuff. And it's very interesting how all of these things seem to be, they arise from different things.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't think that you could end up with depression from having the two exact opposite life experiences. Like, too much hardship. And I mean, I would argue on my side, I had not enough to do, no purpose. And they kind of meet at the same place as like this kind of burnout where you just stop being interested in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you think about the guests we bring on, and obviously there's a reason you identify certain people. Their stories are big, And I think what you just said, and I bet we'll talk about this before this episode's over, captures that this isn't a contest about who's had the worst thing happen to them. And it almost doesn't matter. And it goes back to what you said, Mark, is we all have mental health issues. We don't all have mental illness. Maybe we do. I don't know. The thing that I've just really paid attention to or noticed, when we first started this, and Bill used to say this to me all the time, so I've got a master's degree in social work, and I ended up teaching at, the university, and I wanted to explain it. And we've had guests talk about their chemical imbalances, and we wanted serotonin. We wanted to explain this. The older I get, the deeper I get into this, the more I see these labels, these diagnoses, these codes we submit to get reimbursement. I don't know, you guys. I don't think they mean a whole lot. I think, Andy, you just described it. How can you, as you perceive, never had anything traumatic happen to you, and yet you still had the 4-year go about it? So is that depression, or is that a phase of life? It's just so complicated. So.
Well, I think it's like saying, is everybody physically ill? Probably not. But does everybody get physically ill? Absolutely. There's no one on earth who hasn't been sick or broken a bone or something like that. And I mean, if that applies to our bodies, then why not our brains as well?
Yeah.
Maybe we just get something happens, and it's basically the mental health equivalent of the flu, and you're out of it for a month or two, and then you get better.
And if you happen to go to the doctor at that time, then you get diagnosed.
Yep,
you get
exactly.
This, you get that.
Yep.
And then you're on pills for the next 20 years, and you might not even need them. Or you might have the mental health equivalent of arthritis, where it's just like it gets worse and worse unless you treat it, and there's no cure.
Or manage it, yeah.
And you do need something for the rest of your life, and it's just, that's how it is.
Yeah. Fascinating. Well, thank you guys for sharing that, and we'll take a break, and I'm sure you're glad to know I got more questions. We'll be right back.
Founded in 2006 by Josh Egner, JT Egner Construction is a trusted commercial construction company built on a passion for serving clients and building lasting partnerships. Every project is approached from the client's perspective, listening to their needs, understanding their vision, and delivering tailored solutions that align with their unique goals. JT Egner specializes in helping both for-profit and nonprofit organizations build, manage, and improve their facilities. Their expertise spans sectors like industrial sites, medical facilities, corporate headquarters, worship spaces and childcare centers, senior living communities, retail spaces, and restaurants. Whether it's ground-up construction, renovations and additions, or ongoing facility management, their mission is to partner with leadership teams to create functional and efficient spaces. Josh shares, "What drives me is the joy of serving others, working as part of a team, and solving challenges. We truly love our work. We know construction can be stressful, so we value the opportunity to guide you every step of the way from the initial conception to the final completion." So for all your commercial construction needs, reach out to Josh and the team at JT Egner Construction at 952 985-0582 or online at jtagner.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meyer, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
We're welcome back. We're just I'm just sitting here listening to Wick and Bill say that they're just here as eye candy today. So I hope we'll get some listener responses to what kind of candy you are. And as long as we're talking about
I'd
candy,
be a box of nerds.
if you could be any kind of candy, Wick, what would you be?
I'd probably be a box of nerds.
I like that.
Yep.
How about you, Andy? If you could be any kind of candy, what would you be?
What do you mean, be any kind of candy?
What kind of candy? Wick would be a box of nerds. What? Okay, let me put it a different way.
Describes you.
What kind? There you go. What kind of candy would describe you?
What kind of candy would describe me? Well, he already took box of nerds, but
You can use it again.
we're all just 4 boxes of nerds over here. That's a good question. I've never been
We'll get back
asked
to you.
that before.
We'll get back to you. How about you, Bill?
Yeah, that's something you got to plan for.
Yeah, really. This is a philosophical thing.
You know, Baby Ruth, maybe.
Oh, I got it. $100,000.
I like Mike and Ike, so I like the
Like
candy.
you'd be sweet? Like
So yeah, I don't know. I think I would certainly be. You know what? I would be the kind of candy that you'd put in your mouth. It's kind of like some of those gummy worms and stuff. It's like, oh, this ain't bad, and then it circles right back around and burns your eyes out.
there you have it.
All right, I got it. Black licorice.
Black licorice.
this
Why
is-
black licorice, Andy?
It's good, but it's slightly bitter, and it's an acquired taste.
And it
Just like me.
probably contains a little too much lead.
Lead.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what kind of black licorice you're
But I
eating.
love black licorice. I used to eat Snaps,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and then they stopped making them because there was too much lead in them.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
I haven't had any ill effects.
No.
I'd be a sugar baby. Kind of, you'd enjoy me. You'd kind of stick in your teeth for a while.
Yeah, something you gotta claw out of there.
Kind of dig out later on.
Kind of like a bit of honey sort situation. Yeah. It stays with
Maybe
you.
pull out a cavity, filling or something.
Yep.
When I was in the body shop, I was the guys started calling me sandpaper,
Ah,
and I didn't know why. And then they said, "Well, it's because you're abrasive." Fired them.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk back to me.
without
No.
cause.
Yeah.
All right. We spend a lot of time with men. And one of the things we always do at the end of our normal podcast when we have guests is we ask the guest to say, what would you say to a guy out there? Well, now we're going to say to guys in a different way things we've learned. Wick, starting with you, what surprises you the most about what men, and I know you can use your own experiences too, but what men carry silently? What they don't share? I mean, obviously, eventually they share it with us, but, guys come in and they don't share.
I think probably the thing that I've been most amazed that seems to affect almost every guy is shame and self-worth, confidence issues that just don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Like almost everybody.
Despite
Despite the way
accomplishments or what
despite
you see.
the way everybody else in the group looks at them
Yep.
and
Oh,
says,
yeah.
why would you feel that way? Right? Because we all have the proof of everybody else.
Right.
But then when they come to us, we'll share the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
And just the shame about how we feel about all the things that we've done in the past.
Yeah. Oh. How about you, Bill?
I think that's the common theme right there is self-esteem and how we feel about ourselves. That was part of my thoughts on suicide is that everybody would be better off if I wasn't around because I was such a screw up. I did so much wrong. I tell a story about I was getting an award from the Special Olympics and they called me up on stage and there was probably 150, 200 people in the room. And when they stood up to applaud, I didn't hear anything. The only noise in my head was not this. It was just this. I seen this. And then it was, you know what? These people know you're a fraud. I mean, that's the first thing that went through my head through all this thing. We talked about anxiety in one of my groups last night, and I told them about I think a lot of times with anxiety with me has to do with self-worth and that kind of thing. I missed our group, our regular Thursday evening group, because we had a funeral to go to. And I told these guys, I reached out to them even that night when I missed group, but I even told them last night, I felt really bad that I wasn't there. They all understood why. Oh my gosh, you had a funeral, don't come to group.
Right.
But I still internally felt really bad about that. So I think that's what a lot of guys do. They carry the fact that they're not good enough. They can't live up to somebody. They can't live up to this picture in their head about how things are supposed to be. And what happens is they don't talk about it. You know, and they don't, it's like last night where I told the group about I felt bad about missing group, and they all had the opportunity to say, no, oh my gosh, of course not. Don't worry about that. No, that makes perfect sense. If we don't talk about it, those conversations never happen. We're just left to feel like we've let people down.
Shame. So the thing that I've been struck by, and I'm sure women are not great at this either, but certainly the guys, they carry silently that they have the need to be acknowledged, to be told they matter, that they have needs. Men don't think they have needs. Oh, whatever, I'll take care of that later. I'll put that aside. I got this. And in fact, we wear that as a badge of honor, believing, well, if I put everybody else's needs first, then I must be good.
I'm a good person.
And it has struck me how many men, in their unwillingness to A, acknowledge they have needs, B, ask for those needs to get met, become resentful, bitter people who then go get their needs met in really unhealthy and harmful ways. And I'm curious, I am just kind of curious, and I think about my own self. I think for so many years, my assumption was if I ask for something, I'm being selfish, I'm putting myself first. And it wasn't even that I didn't matter, I didn't know how to ask for what I needed. I don't know what you guys experience, see that?
Go ahead, Bill.
You know, some of it too is that we see guys that have like this victim mentality. You know, only if my wife, paid more attention to me. Only if my kids were better and didn't misbehave so much. We say it at face all the time. Only if. But the problem is that once you get your only if, there's another one. There's always another one. But we have a lot of guys that are carrying that around where they're just, it's never going to be good enough. They expect the job. My boss didn't tell me I did a great job. You get back to what you said before about being validated. I mean, well, does your boss need to say, great job coming into work today? But that's where they stick. They say, well, my boss didn't do this, my wife didn't do this, my kids aren't this way, my car broke down again. They play that victim thing. And I think if they stay in that place for a long time, that gets really destructive.
And I also think that we want to be validated, we want to be recognized for those things. What happens when we are?
Well, that's what so many people say no.
Right.
We discount it, right? Like, because again, I've had this with you two, right? Sometimes after we say something, and then you go off, we say, what was the right answer? Thank you. Because we want to focus on something else. It's like, we want it, but then when we get it, we're not comfortable with it.
Right.
So we throw it out, and then we say we never get it, because again, we don't remember it because we threw it out.
We don't know how to experience it.
One of the most uncomfortable times I get even now is when someone or a guy at Face It or even a family member will come up and say, you know what, you've saved my life. Oh my gosh, I can't run out of that room fast enough.
And why? Is that go back to self-esteem because I'm a
worthy.
fraud?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. For me it is. Yeah. But I mean, when people do that, I pay compliments all the time.
Yep.
But I don't want them. And isn't that interesting? I mean, you think about the stuff you're going through, and you're telling somebody, ask a friend, tell your story to them, see what they say. That kind of flip the script a little bit.
Yep.
It's the same way. I'm always there to help people that I help that don't even ask for help.
Yep.
I never ask for help. Never.
I think we got a phone touching a transmitter.
Oh.
There we go.
That's wick.
Much
That's
better.
all right.
Unbelievable.
How many times?
That's why I got these headphones on.
So glad you're
So-
going to be gone soon.
Go ahead, Andy.
While you were talking about men putting others before themselves to an unhealthy degree, it made me think of, think about fiction written for the past 500 years.
Yep.
The first 450 of it is men going off to war for the service of their king or their country.
Yeah.
Or going to, like, rescue someone, whether it's a family member or a love interest or whatever. Much of fiction was a man being 100% selfless. I don't think any of these gallant knights of the Round Table ever did anything for themselves. They were in service to something or someone. And then, shortly after, I think, World War II, there was a big shift. And all of a sudden what you see is Westerns, gangster movies, that sort of thing, where it's a bunch of men who just take a gun and say, I'm going to go do what I want to do. And usually that ends in some sort of horrendous, violent death, but that's a point that a lot of people seem to miss. Like, they'll watch The Godfather and be like, wow, look, they look so cool in their suits with their cigars and their calzones or what the hell ever. And they completely miss the
Apologize
end.
to all the Italians out there.
I mean, that's how it is. I ask the average person who likes The Godfather what they like about it. They're going to be like, oh, gabagool, whatever.
Yeah.
They completely miss the end where half of these people died awful, awful deaths because of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, all the gallant knights in the early fiction, they often died too in battle or whatever. And now you have this new trope of the exact opposite of doing whatever you want. They end up dying too.
Yeah.
And it seems like the moral of the story is always to strike a balance somewhere between just being a mindless servant to something or being so selfish that you just end up becoming self-destructive.
Well, and you used the operative word being fiction there for so long, this notion of gallantry. I don't know how gallant most people were. I think there was no choice.
Well, there is that, yes. I think if you were living in medieval England and your landlord or whatever said, hey, here's a sword, go kill these
Yep,
people.
and you said, I'm going to tend to the tulip garden?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have turned out well for you.
It wouldn't go well. They had to give you incentive not to go stab someone with a sword, and the incentive had to be worse than that. So it's like, it's not a great way to live. So
carrying around sort of this, I'm not going to acknowledge I need anything, carrying around this sense of inadequacy, so carrying around these secrets, right? To me, these are corrosive things that eat away at our soul and our psyche and our behaviors and our relationships and all of that. Yeah, that's interesting. Wick, how has your perception and assumptions about men and masculinity? How have they changed in the 7-8 years you've been sitting in on group? What has your opinions changed? Have you given thought to what it means to be a man today versus what it used to mean to you? Or
Well, I think that men, we put on a lot of fronts. I think we want to have these conversations. I think we want to talk about it, and I hate to use this word, but we want to feel safe or like a safe space or something like that.
Actually, that's a question I'm going to ask, but keep going.
Well, yeah, but I think that that's really what we want to do. But because of all this history and society and stuff, we feel like we're going to be judged. That we're going to be soft, we're going to be, that's not masculine enough, right? So we've got this perception of how we should act, even though we don't want to act that way. And this is a place we can share the things we really want to share. It's okay to cry in front of other guys.
Well,
go ahead, Andy.
That kind of goes back to what I was saying about what men are portrayed as, and that is what men believe they should be.
Yep.
When they see someone in fiction being strong and courageous and always fighting for right and fighting for others, they're like, well, that is the ideal, and that is what I should be. But I mean, you can't be Superman unless you're from Krypton, so you shouldn't try.
How about you, Bill? Any assumptions about men and masculinity and what is that? Has that changed for you over the years?
Well, taking off of what Andy just said, I wonder if Batman and Alfred ever sat down and talked about their challenges.
In the new movies, Batman talks about his challenges all the time.
And I think that's the point of it, actually. I think none of us, most of us probably, never grew up with a father figure or a male figure that talked about his challenges. I mean, it was pretty stoic, and that's what they learned from their dads and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of what we just learned. But I do think there is a big shift. I know there's a shift in my life and being around you guys too. There is a shift where people are now talking more about some things. They're talking about things that they're afraid of, things that bother them. You know, like when we talk about it, face it, it's not about depression or anxiety all the time. It's about life. I mean, there are guys that come to us that are afraid because they think their kid's going to turn into an asshole.
Yeah.
Because he sits in his room 14 hours a day and plays video games. I can't connect with him, and oh my gosh. Well,
I'll have you know I turned out fine doing that.
well, for the most part, you lost me with the tulips and the sword thing, but other
I
than
didn't
that-
bring up the tulips. You can't pin that one on me.
But that's I think where we're at more now. Is it perfect? No. But I think guys are realizing that it's okay to talk to somebody. We talk to other guests we have even in our own lives. You have to have a support system.
Yep.
One of our guests talked about there's got to be a guy that understands. We had someone tell us a long time ago, every guy needs a guy. And it's so simple, but it is so true. It really is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is for me watching men, and you think about literally thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours of conversation, and what it means to me to be a man. Like I mean, it's so hard to think back to what I remember when I was a kid, but I think about fiction, Andy, and you think about war movies, and I always had an affinity for war, and the guy was big and brave, and off he went. And
Yeah, there's so many World War II stories of the guy who goes and rescues the internment
And just
camps and that
so
sort of
stoic,
thing.
yeah.
And they never shed a tear, never have any problems.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. This was going to be my question, but you guys have already kind of touched on it, but I want to hear a little bit more. Have guys changed? I don't know how we can collectively make these assumptions, but when you think about when Face It first got going in 2009 versus 2025, Wick, you spend a lot of time with young guys in the college hockey ranks. Do you think they've changed? Do you think there's been a cultural shift, a greater acceptance, understanding of these sorts of conversations?
Yep. I don't think guys have changed.
Right.
I think we've always been this way,
Right.
but I think we have talked about it more.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it.
Yeah.
And it's not as scary.
Yeah.
And people
Still
understand.
hard.
It's not
Hard
easy.
as hell, right?
Not easy. Still
Right,
hard.
right.
But they understand, though, that there also might be a benefit from it.
Yeah.
So I think the more we talk about it, it's become more normalized, which
Yeah.
is a good thing.
How about you, Bill? What do you think about the hundreds and thousands of guys we've met?
Right.
Have they? I like what you said, Wick. Guys haven't changed,
Yeah.
but the culture or the
Right.
environment.
You know, I think, I mean, it's not scientific, but we have 16 years of evidence, right, by
Yeah.
doing this. And the number of guys we meet that we talk about joining a group, they'll say, you know what, I probably don't want to talk much. I'm probably just going to listen. You can. You won't, but you can. And then meetings go long because they talk and talk and talk. They finally found a place where they can say something, and someone's not going to say, God, you're fucking crazy. They're going to say, yeah, I get that, me too. And once you can, and people talk about, it's a common phrase in this world, not alone. I think once a guy understands that he's not alone, that's why it's so important to tell stories and to have guests. So many guys now come to Face It. How'd you hear about us? Oh, I heard about you through the podcast.
Yeah.
Andy, you mentioned it. You may not relate to everything that all of our guests have said, but there's little bits and pieces of all of it.
That's so true.
And again, if someone like a pro hockey player can say, you know what, there was times where I was a mess. I was a lousy person. I was this, I drank, I did, oh my gosh. Then maybe the average person can say, you know what, hell, maybe me too.
Yeah.
So.
And again, like you said, we don't have the scientific data, but one of the things that I always touch on or think about, when we first started Face It, the people reaching out to us, moms, wives, aunts, grandmas, sisters, daughters, my dad, my uncle, my brother, you know, I mean, the guy, how do I talk to this guy? How do I get him to come up?
80% women.
Easy. And now, 2%.
Yep.
Mostly it's just guys.
Yep.
Just guys reaching out. I do wish we had kept ages and all that demographic to see if anything had shifted younger, but guys are coming in less crisis, so maybe they've gotten some help, they're going to talk to therapists. So I think there's been definitely a cultural shift.
There certainly has been with the younger kids, right?
Yeah.
We've seen it in the schools that some of
Yeah.
your kids have been in,
Yeah.
people you've talked to, and I think that's an important message. Even we did the Chris Haraski thing where he talked about, he said, Mark and Bill talk about, you got to get these kids when they're young.
Yeah.
You got to say it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to, let's figure it out together.
Yeah.
Don't just hold this inside.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to take a break. I guess without a guest, we could just talk on and on. But let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and actually wrap this episode up. We'll be right back.
Launched in 2009, Face It is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit organization focused on working with men who deal with depression. Using a peer support model that leverages men's groups, mentoring, social activities like retreats, baseball games, and fishing trips, we provide more than 12,000 hours of free services to hundreds of men each year. And yes, I said free. We never charge for any of our peer support programs, and we will never ask you for a copy of your insurance card. If you're tired of feeling alone in your fight against depression, please visit us at faceitfoundation.org or drop Mark or Bill an email at info@faceitfoundation.org.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meyer, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
All right, we've gone long, and our sponsors will pull their ads if we go too long, right? Or is that how it is? So, all right, I got one last question for you, and you go quick because we gotta wrap it up here tonight. What makes the Face It model work, Mark Wick?
Stories and peers.
Stories and peers.
Yep,
That's simple.
I think so.
And does it work?
I think it works better than any other model I've seen. I think.
Brilliant. Bill Deckus, what makes the Face It model work?
Simple for sure. Non-threatening. I mean, it is scary when guys first show up, no question about that. But it's not therapy. It's not a therapist. It's not one-on-one. There's no intake. I mean, all those things that guys can get scared of or turned off on, those are all gone. And if they can make it through one meeting or two even, whatever, they'll realize that this is just average guys. This isn't a therapist who's judging you. There's nobody psychoanalyzing you. This is a place where you could say, you know what? For about 6 months now, I've done nothing but lay in bed. And guys are going to say, I get it. Here's what I did. Here's how it helps. And I think that's we tell people all the time when we meet them, there is no secret sauce here. This is really simple. Don't overthink what we do here at Face It. And I think that's the power of Face It. Is it beneficial? Is it working? Has it been helpful? We've been doing it for 16 years. There's thousands of men that have come through there. We've had people come and say, you've saved our lives. As uncomfortable that is, there's still a part that makes me feel really good about that too. So yeah, I think the simplicity of it and the non-threatening part of it is really important.
You had one more
And
thought.
the other thing I just thought of is, because I was thrown on the spot there, is unlike our mental health system, which is messed up, there are no barriers to Face It.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anybody can come.
the only barrier being your fear, your ego, your
Right.
your shame, all that. Otherwise, the
but
doors are wide open.
It's not like, well, your insurance doesn't cover it. This is the cost.
Right.
These are the days,
Yeah.
right? Only available at this time. Like, there's no barriers. Anybody,
Yeah.
nobody can say, well, that I couldn't afford it. I couldn't, whatever. There's no barriers.
And for me, it works because we all need friends. And the thing at Face It, you get a qualified friend because you get a guy who is willing to talk openly, a guy who's willing to be vulnerable, a guy who's willing to sit with you when your life is going sideways. So, all right, final thoughts, and then we'll shut her down. Wick, what did you learn today?
Well, again, I get more reinforced of my feelings, but just how important Face It has been to me since 2018.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine it right now without Face It. There's a ton of organizations out there, as you know, in the mental health field, and try to help them out, but this one is something special.
Yeah. And it's special because of all these men that just keep
Absolutely.
showing up. How about you, Bill?
And you guys, but I know you don't like to hear that.
We've
Ah, you kidding me? Give me a gold star.
we've done this forever, but it just shows me what we ask guys to do. Being asked questions that you aren't prepared for is way different. It's kind of scary. it makes you think quick. You got to come up with an answer or you look stupid. Not that you're stupid, I'm just saying
My wheelhouse.
that kind of thing. But I mean, that's part of it. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I got to, it doesn't matter what it is. I got to decide what kind of candy I am.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I don't want to say anything stupid.
It's a lot of
I don't want
pressure.
this, oh. Then we say black licorice. I mean, it's just, but those are hard conversations to have. And I think about guys that face it, whether we're in group or meeting a new guy for the first time. So we ask a question, it's like, holy crap, we're really putting them on the spot.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you can talk about it and hear other people talk, it's like, oh yeah. Actually, a lot of our answers here, all of us, all four of us, our answers have been very similar.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't go back to the Elizabethan age, but other than that, a lot of our answers are the same.
Elizabethan. I'm impressed you knew that. Congratulations.
Well, that's a Twins minor league club.
I got it.
I was going to say, can you explain it to me?
How about you,
No.
Andy? Did you learn anything today?
Well, I actually had a question, so I can learn from this question.
Okay.
So, you started doing this podcast. When was it? Like 3 years ago?
What
4?
was it, 20?
Was it
We were-
2021?
21 and 22. We
Yeah,
ended
yeah.
in all of 22.
Yeah,
So 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you did it after you came on our show.
Correct.
Correct.
Do you remember how that happened? How'd you get on our show? Because I don't even remember.
The walls are connected.
Yeah, it was Doug.
Doug.
It was Doug.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
We have connections with Walzer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
we do talks and stuff for them. Been for years now,
Yeah, yeah.
actually.
Okay, I remember.
And,
I remember now.
And
Yeah, it was
Doug
Doug.
was part of one, and he said, "Hey, I do this podcast, blah blah blah."
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting how that works out?
It is.
You know
It is.
someone who knows someone who knows someone. and
Next
then-
thing you know, we're sitting in someone's living room doing a podcast.
Yeah,
Right.
now this.
Right.
Well, hey, this was fun. I enjoyed this, and we'll continue this conversation somewhere down the road. But thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be with you in another episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
You've been listening to What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. It's real men telling real stories, from depression to anxiety. No doctors or professionals, just real men talking about real issues. For more, visit the Face It Foundation's website at www.faceitfoundation.org to ask questions for future episodes. Send us an email at wtpointpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at What's the Point Podcast, and find us on Twitter at WTPointPodcast. Till next time. This is What's the Point podcast. And remember, you are the point.